Hi, how are you? Welcome to HeKate's Crossing. Okay, so funny this tag that's been throwing around because this is exactly what happened to me. I had been collecting decks for a number of years and I had to, for some reason, put my decks into storage. And after a while, I went back to get my decks and there were none there. They had all gone. Someone had removed all my decks and, tarot and oracle, Lenormand, etc. type decks, and had taken a few other bits and pieces that were mine. Anyway, so fast forwarding, I then had to decide what decks I actually wanted. Now, the first thing I did was actually get a couple of decks to start with. Now, the first one, of course, is my Native American Tarot. I definitely wanted this back again. Fortunately, the cardstock is different than before, but it's okay because it still does what I want it to do, of course. So, of course, I had to replace my Native American Tarot because this was the first deck that I actually bought. Now, the thing was, I had to buy the deck and the companion book absolutely separate. Oops, let me just grab that book, because this is one reason. Oops. I mean, this is one reason why this deck works so well, is when you sort of read the teachings and the stories behind this. I mean, you get quite a lot. I mean, this is a star, and you get all that down there, all that there, and that. So you you basically get like 2 pages of information per card. So quite a lot. Even the minor cards. This is the matriarch, okay, pipe. So you get that, that, and that. So yeah, quite a lot per card coming through. There's a lot of information in regards to the cards, lots of spreads working through it, meditations, there's a lot of correspondences, so there's quite a lot in this book. So it's definitely worth it if you're going to get this deck, to definitely get the book. So that was a must when I replaced it. So this is one that I would definitely replace no matter what. Now, I would always get a Tarot de Marseille of some sort. This was sort of like when I thought, oh my god, I need a Tarot de Marseille back again type deck. I was looking between one J.J. Swiss, Ancient Spanish, Ancient Japanese. This is the first one that I sort of replaced it with. Now, I think I would get any type of Marseille that I could get hold of, any type, whether, I think whatever it would be, I would definitely replace a Marseille type deck. I think that's a must. Okay, oops, and I knew I forgot something as well, because I'll go and grab that later. But in the meantime, now the other thing was, I sort of thought, well, I needed to have a Rider-Waite-Smith type deck, even though I may not use it as much. I'm not really a huge Rider-Waite-Smith fan, even though I have sort of said, I mean, I can use it, and I do use it a wee bit at different times. So I got the little universal one because I knew that I needed to replace it with a Rider-Waite-Smith type deck. So a mini was a really good way for me just to have a Rider-Waite-Smith. So I think that was sort of a must Now, whatever Rider-Waite-Smith you decide is totally up to you. I mean, if I was really had thought about it at the time, definitely get a Waite-Smith. Definitely this Waterless version. I mean, this is a definite. I think I quite like the feel of it, sort of an antique. Sort of feels sort of antique-y, which I quite like. I like that sort of antique-y sort of feel. So, yeah, definitely a Marseille of some sort. A Rider-Waite-Smith, I think, is really, really important. And the other thing, which is super important, and I should have grabbed it before, is, of course, I think I would definitely replace Marseille, Rider-Waite-Smith, and, of course, okay, I would definitely replace a Thoth Tarot. I think you definitely need to have a basic Thoth, whether that's a mini, which was what I did to start with. I think it's super important to have a Thoth of some sort into your collection. Or of course the larger, which I eventually would do as well. Not that I've used Thoth much lately, but I think it's a really important sort of staple to your decks. And that's what I sort of had basically, and this is what I've replaced. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at, is what I've actually replaced since I had all that stuff disappear. Now, the other thing I replaced, but as a mini, was the Steampunk Tarot. Got this thing about minis. Quite cool for on the go. It's a deck that I sort of wanted to replace, but I wasn't worried about it too much, and sort of so I just thought the mini was really cool. I sort of want to have a look at the other Steampunk tarots that were out there, but I just decided to just grab this one for now. So that was a replacement as well, but I got the mini instead of the full size. Okay, so that was the tarot decks that I would definitely, that I replaced anyway, that I put in this moment up to, so yeah. Right, now the other thing which was really important was, this was my first sort of Lenormand type deck, and I was really, really lucky that I was able to get another copy through somebody else who gave it to me. I was very, very lucky indeed. I was very spoiled with in New Zealand, so it was much easier for her to send it through me. So this was a definite one that I was very lucky to be able to replace. You know what, I think I like the simplicity of it. It's just quite a sort of simple, very clear imagery type deck. And the book's really good as well. So that was one that I also replaced. Now another deck I sort of needed, I replaced, was the Angel Tarot by Radley Valentine. I think any sort of deck, but this is one that I just enjoyed working with, so I replaced it. So I was really pleased. I mean, I love this deck, so that is another one that I replaced. Now, I finally got round to replacing Fallen Angel by Nigel Suckling when they reprinted this. So I was finally able to get this. just takes time in replacing your decks. So that was the Fallen Angel. And the other deck I finally got round to replacing, and they have reprinted it so it is slightly different because it's now borderless, is the Enchanted Map. They're absolutely gorgeous imagery. I love that it's borderless now, even though I loved the deck before, but this is a really great read. So the Enchantment. So that is the decks that I've actually replaced so far from that list of decks that disappeared a number of years ago. Now, in saying this, okay, let me just take a minute, take a breath. Look, to be honest now, I've really tweaked my deck collection in so many ways, but if I had to narrow it down to maybe a few, like the decks that I've replaced, but let's look at something else on a different aspect. Maybe other decks that I would definitely want to replace if I could is of course the Starman Tarot. I think this is a must. This would be a must in my collection. Okay, absolute must. I think I would definitely want to add any decks by Hand Me That Pencil. I've already got all her decks now, and to replace them would, you know, would be a definite must. Now I'm not going to show you all the decks here, but that's there as always light. And Song of My Heart. She's a New Zealand artist, so definitely have to have a couple of her decks if I could not have all of them. But definitely love the Santa Muerte Tarot and Oracle deck. I mean, this is a must, I think, to my collection. I mean, there's so many decks now that I've really tweaked. I would definitely say, basically, my whole collection I would need to replace over time. And the problem is new decks then come out and you want those. So this is the Coffee Tarot. And I think this would definitely be a must to add to my collection again. And then the last one I'm going to show you today is the Waterfall Tarot. Okay, this would be a must to replace. This is my Rider-Waite-Smith go-to deck. Okay, even though I say, you know, and I've replaced and I got an important Rider-Waite-Smith, I think it's part of the teaching process, the mentoring, developing within one's own spirit, you know, tarot reading. I love this Rider-Waite-Smith with a twist. I think T.O. did such a great job of this deck, and if you get a chance to grab it on the new paper, the new deck on the different thickness. Of course, it's going to be slightly thicker. It's going to be, but absolutely gorgeous, fantastic deck. Totally recommend it. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of decks I could add to this. I mean, I've got some, I think I've really tweaked my tarot collection now to getting exactly what decks that I will use at different times. I mean, really I'm really enjoying the Primordial Tarot. You can see in the deep dive. I think that would be a really good one to keep in my collection. I just think now I've really sort of got my decks in a really good place. So that's it from me. Don't forget to check the links below, check the links on my channel, like, subscribe and ring that bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and bless. Okay, this is a bit of a part 2 in regards to all my decks disappeared, now what? And I forgot the most important one that I actually had to order online because I couldn't get it locally. It was sort of my first sort of indie deck that I really needed to reorder. Now I couldn't get the original, so I got the Evolution edition. Of course, is the Crystal Alley cards. Now this is one of the first Oracle decks I actually worked with. So when the box disappeared, this is one of the first Oracle decks that I struggled to try and get another copy of because I couldn't get the original. So definitely this would be a deck I would have to replace without a fail, and the book with it has to come with this book without fail. So much information with working with the cards, spreads, information per card. It's just so much in it. So that's a definite to add. So just another little bit of an extra video to add part 2. All my decks disappeared, now what? I sort of forgot to add that to it. Okay, so that's it from me. I mean, so many decks I would have to replace, and it may take me some time, but those are sort of the ones that I showed you that I replaced. Has taken me a little time to get some of them, but this would be one of my first oracles, and I don't know why I forgot it. Brain dead as I was thinking about all my other decks. How could I say goodbye to any of them? I would have to replace, because I've tweaked my collection to such a deal now to what I want. It'd be very hard to not replace any of those decks. So don't forget to check the links below, check the links on my channel, like, subscribe and ring that bell so you know when the next and ring that bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and blessed.